things happen for myself and my family. There's no way that this is real, man, it can't be.
What up, everyone, and welcome back to Modify Your Life podcast, where we have such amazing people on here talking about their trials and tribulations and how they made it through and how they got to modify their life. So I'm in St. Louis, Missouri now. Just did, what is it, the Syndicate? Arte Syndicate. David Goggins.
Ed Milet.
Eddie Frisella. It was amazing. It was an amazing thing. And I got my boy with me, Micah, who works at First Form. And it feels, dude, this podcast feels like a normal conversation because I don't have the mics and I don't have my headset on. So, like, it's like a very weird conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like weirdly casual.
Right.
You know,
it feels
I'm like, should this feel different?
So I think normally the podcast does feel a little different because normally you got the mic, boom, stick in the face. We got the headset on, so you hear yourself talking. Right now, we don't hear ourselves talking at all. We're just talking. But anyways, let everyone know who you are and who's Micah.
I'm Micah. Me and Anthony met at First Form.
Yeah.
We really met at Summer Smash last year. Summer Smash at 22.
No, we met at First Form.
Oh, in the locker room.
In the locker room. You literally met me 2 minutes before or 2 minutes after I was gonna be put on Andy Frisella's podcast?
I feel like it was before.
I think it was before because I think it was after I got so nervous. I don't think I did anything. I was like trying to take it all in. So yeah.
You were in the recliner. You were just chilling in the recliner.
Oh, then it was definitely before. It was definitely before because after that I was like nervous, bro. Like I was like, that's like a drink or two. We'll get into that. But anyways, work at First Form.
I work at First Form. I've been at First Form a little over 2 years. I'm on the sales side of things, but I just want to move up the ladder while also building a business outside of there, creating departments inside for not only myself and the company, but for the other employees, so we can create more opportunities for everybody.
What you're doing is really dope, man. I really want to get into that. Like, we'll just right off the back, man. Like, what you're doing, like, for the youth and to like bring more into First Form that's already there, which First Form already does a lot. I mean, I went with them for a reason that, like, they stand behind the morals that Heavy to Modify brand does. Right, and Andy Frisella's, he modified his life too. He was overweight, preaching to be healthy, and he got his stuff together.
Overweight.
You know what I mean? Yeah, very overweight, over 300 pounds. So that's one thing like that I completely stand by is like change yourself. And it's so crazy because today we went to the Syndicate today. You know what I mean? And we got to hear something. And like the biggest thing I took away so much. So that's the most notes I've ever taken in a day. I got to be honest, right? But I took away something that I will probably remember forever, and my clients are now going to hear this. People that maybe start working under me are going to hear this, and then I completely forgot what that quote was. Honestly, right now, I just brain farted right now. So I'm gonna grab my phone because I wrote it down and I sent it to I sent it to Francine.
You take so many notes.
Oh, I took so many notes today, but I sent it to Francine. And this really was awesome because I kind of feel like this is like that answer that I'm looking for. I was always looking for, always thinking that I'm like imposter syndrome, right? Yeah. Like imposter syndrome. Like I've been over my whole entire life. Now I'm an online coach, a personal trainer, a motivational speaker. You know what I mean? So it's a different feeling, right? And Andy didn't say this.
You feel like you're on the other side.
I feel like I'm still on the other side of obesity. Like honestly, like it's very hard to explain. We could dive into that because I know you have your own version of imposter syndrome that's where we had a whole hour conversation with. But it says, In life, we are most qualified to help people who we used to be like, right, and that thing will hit home. Let me read that one more time. In life, we are most qualified to help the people we used to be, right, and that to me is now in the position where I'm at, where I'm helping people that are 300, 400, 500, 600 plus pounds, and I get my own version. I second guess myself like everyone else does, right? I'm pretty sure you do because
absolutely.
We had a whole conversation. A whole hour conversation about that.
Bro, it's literally like an everyday thing. It may be, maybe one day it may be for like a short period of time. And then, one day I'm just feeling discouraged and I have to I just have to collect myself and just, have a pep talk with myself. So, but it's definitely on a regular basis that I feel that way. And, like they were talking about today.
What do you do to get yourself out of it?
I do things I know I need to do.
So you just keep on with your day?
I keep on with my day, but I make the best decisions I can for myself. So if I feel like I'm off and I want to indulge in like some junk food or something like that, just because like we'll subconsciously do weird things like that to feel
out of your character, to get comfortable,
100%. So like I do my best to keep myself in check. So I actually make the best decisions whenever I'm in like mindsets like that where I'm like discouraged.
Because you're more focused on making the right decisions, so you don't
Yeah.
ruin your next couple hours or
100%,
next day.
100%.
That makes you're like super hyper focused on making the right decision because you know you want to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
So
I
let's
know.
go.
I'm in that mindset where I'm like, I could just do some, not anything too crazy, but like I could really
Some reckless stuff.
stop my momentum. I could really slow my momentum today, so I need to keep myself in check.
I like that.
Yeah.
So when I'm going through imposter syndrome, and our body dysmorphia, or whatever it might be. Obviously, I go through both of those quite often, a little more than I would like. I like to help people. As corny as it sounds, like my Zoom calls with my online clients are really help. They are therapeutic for my clients, but sometimes they're also therapeutic for me because I get to help someone find a problem in their life, come up with a solution, and then give them a way so they can execute it.
Yeah.
Right. And then I get to bring value. Or sometimes I want to have like the worst day. Like my client will end the Zoom call like, you know what? Thank you, coach. Like I really need that so much. And like in my head, I'm like, no, I needed this.
Yeah.
I'm glad I get to help you because like it is like you're having a bad day. You're doing something. Everything's going wrong. Your whole life is crashing in front of you. Everything's burning. The roof's on fire. The plane's crashing. Whatever it is, right?
Yep.
When you just like kind of give that $5 to that homeless person, or you get a text from a friend that's checking up on you, like it still feels good. Like it feels good to like receive, or also, but it feels even better to give.
Yeah,
so when I'm going through stuff like that, I like to I give a little bit more.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, just
we're
because
supposed to communicate. We're supposed to communicate and serve. Like at core level, human beings are supposed to be doing things like that, and that's why you feel so much better. Like someone like earlier, we held when we held the door for those people, like the smile on her face and how like thankful she was, that brightened my day, bro.
Yeah, it was okay. So let me paint a picture for everyone right now listening. Right, me and my boy we went to the RTA when they had a 2-hour break for lunch. We went to Red Lobster. I haven't been to Red Lobster forever, honestly.
It was really random.
It was really random place to go.
It was random because I hadn't been in a long time.
Yeah, last time I went there, I'll tell you a crazy story real quick. I'm gonna paint another picture before I paint this new picture. We went to the last time I went to Red Lobster. It was me, Modified Frankie, and my boy Les. Right, we're out there, we're eating, we're having a good time. Your boy was like 500 pounds at the time. It wasn't 600 yet. It was like 500. I was a hefty boy. And we're get done eating, full as heck, get outside, and this guy's like, yo, man, yo, like, had like this van full of like surround sound speakers. Me and Modified Frankie just rented a house in Santa Ana. Not even a house. I don't want to make it sound more badass than it is. We rented a garage that was turned into a room, like a house setup, I guess. And we just had moved, and I was just literally, like 2 days before, I'm like, babe, I want to get a surround sound system. We just got like a 60-inch, so I'm thinking we're balling, you know what I mean? Balling, got the new place and everything. And he's like, yo, I got surround sound. I was supposed to get rid of these 2 in downtown LA, but I ended up not going through with the sale. Like they're normally like $1,000, but I'm selling them for $400. And I look at the box, like every other sucker. And if everyone's listening right now, and you could think like, yo, how dumb can you be, AJ, Mr. Heavy to Modify? Like, why would you do that? I was just in the moment. Like everything was perfect, right?
Buying is emotional. People buy off of
it
emotion.
It was emotional buy, and it so happened I wanted that. Like
in that moment, it was everything you wanted. Yeah.
Everything I want. Yeah. Exactly. In that moment, we could turn that into even eating.
Absolutely, bro.
In that moment, it's everything you want, right? But then when you get done with it, it turns out to be it's not quality. That's crazy. Anyways, so I'm happy, bro. I see it. It's all heavy, right? That's how they get you. It's a heavy box. I'm like, yeah, I look it up online. It shows it's going for like $1,500. So they're smart. Like they know what they're doing, bro. Right. They know that people are going to pull their phone out, go on the website, whatever it might be. So I'm like, yeah, all right, man. So we stop. I think I had like $200 cash on me. So I think my boy Les gave me like another $200. I think we paid like $400. Right? I think we paid him $300. I think whatever, $400. We'll make it sound better. $400. So I'm all stoked. We get home. We get done. Eat. We get loaded up in the Jeep. Head home.
You've been thinking about it
and
the
then
whole time.
I didn't open up. I'm happy, bro. I'm happy.
Yeah.
And then I get home and we're like super tired. So I was like, I'll open it tomorrow. Set everything up. Well, the next day comes, open it up. There is stuff in there.
What is it?
It's speakers.
Okay.
But it's cheap speakers. Like it's bad. And I opened up the speaker to kind of see what kind of actual speaker was inside. So it was all concrete in this one little speaker thing.
Lord have mercy.
Oh my God, bro.
He got you.
He got me. He got me good. Because, bro, and like one of those things, like Francine looked like she wanted to laugh, but then she was also pissed, and then she also felt bad for me because I'm not the type of person to get got. Like I'm very, very street smart.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I was. I've been here for 3 days, and you did not start talking crap until the day I'm about to fly back home. That's mad crazy. I got you. I'm going to restroom in the restroom. I'm not flushing the toilet. I'm just going to pop in the flight. Yeah, I'm going to dip.
Don't do me like that.
But yeah, so I was devastated. I felt so vulnerable. I felt so used. I felt lied to. Like
It's very
you know what I mean?
humbling.
It was very, very
humbling
humbling. But you know,
experience.
at the end of the day, like remember you said like, oh, I found that guy, but he didn't find him. He knew what he was doing. He probably lives nowhere near Anaheim.
No,
he was gone.
He goes there just to do that.
Yeah,
you know
bro,
what I mean?
I was mad. And then I just looked at the box, and that box sat there for like 2 weeks before I had to I was like, if I paid $400 for that box, like I'm gonna sit there and look at it. It's gonna be there for a second. And it was a laugh. And then after I got over it a little bit, then it was like a laughing part of the conversation. But I was like, still bummed. But that's my Red Lobster story. So that Red Lobster now has a better meaning getting to what we're talking about. When we're getting to Red Lobster, you know, when we see this like a picture perfect like elderly mom and daughter. Like we knew it was mom and daughter. The way she was caring for her mom to get out of the car. And I'm not gonna throw numbers out, but if I were to guess random numbers, hopefully they're not listening to this and I'm not way off. I was thinking like 70 and like 85.
Oh,
or like
I wouldn't even
65 and like 90.
I would say, yeah, between 60, 65, and the mom was she was fragile.
Yeah, so I think
mean,
she's around like the 85 mile, whatever it might be. Let's not even throw numbers out there. No disrespect.
They were both up there.
They were both up there, and like we were like, bro, I was like, honestly, I love old people, and like when I seen her helping her mom out, it really reminded me of when I would go with my grandpa. We would go eat for the last couple of months that he was around. Well, that was a little bit more like we would go like the last couple months he wasn't going anywhere, but you know what I mean. So it reminded me being with my grandpa and me taking my grandma to the casino. So I looked at her. And Micah, he opened the door. And like that is super fly to be hanging out with someone, going to an event to better herself. And then he goes to open the door before I even go open up the door. We're still waiting a couple minutes for him to get there. Like that's super fly of you, bro. Because not a lot of people do that anymore. I feel like there's not a lot of respect.
We all got to do our part. Like if we do, bro, it took 30 seconds of our day.
I kind of look at it like if that's my grandma, my mom, like I would hope someone like you would open the door for them, right?
And that's another thing, bro. Like, some people would have wanted to do that, but they would have felt weird or didn't want to, like, you know what I mean? Like, people want to do nice things, but they don't like to stand out. They don't like to stand out or be the center of attention, so they'll just like carry on with their day.
And they look so happy, bro. They had the biggest smiles on their face.
It made my day.
Yeah,
bro.
it made my day too. So I seen him, and I was like, oh, it reminds me of like, you know, taking my grandpa, we'll go lunch with my grandpa, taking my grandma to the casino, and I was like, oh man. So I looked at Mike. I was like, you know, I'm gonna pay for their meal. Like I just had like this. It was so cool.
But
like,
I think like we were connected at that point because I considered doing that. I didn't say anything, and then like 20 seconds later, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna pay for their meal.
Yeah, I just had a feeling. And fast forward, I pay their meal. It wasn't expensive. It was like $70 with a tip. She comes over and she's like, "Can I hug you? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry." So she hugs Micah, tells her name, and I tell her my name. Mary's her name, and I tell her my name. She's like, "Oh my gosh, my son is named Anthony." I was like, Mary, you picked a great name.
Right.
That's amazing. And she ended up telling me the story, and I wasn't the fact that her son's named Anthony that like I felt like this was necessary. It's what she says after that. She's like, I was like, no, I seen you taking. I'm assuming it's your mom. I didn't want to let assume it's her mom, but I told her, assuming it's your mom, that you're bringing her to eat, and I know how that probably makes your mom feel so amazing that she comes out. She's like, I've been bringing her every single Saturday for how many did she say? A couple years now or whatever?
I don't even remember how long.
But that is like...
She said every Saturday so she doesn't feel isolated. So she doesn't feel
isolated. And that is amazing, you know, because I know sometimes my grandmas can feel like that. And they're not that old. I mean, their grandma ages, but they're not like that old. Mm-hmm. They still, do everything for herself. And I was like, that's why that was the reason why I paid, not because your son's named Anthony, because that's amazing. Like, you save yourself some money and you bring your mom out every single Saturday. Like, bro, I want to do that for my mom. You know what I mean? I want to make sure I can do that for my mom and my parents, stuff like that.
At the very least.
At the very least, you know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of the older people are kind of looked over, which, I mean, I'm really a family person. Like, everyone knows how I took my grandpa passing away. I took it horribly, So when I seen that, bro, it was really good. It made us feel good, bro. And then we went back and we got to learn even more and stuff like that. I mean, the Arte Syndicate was a very great show, and that's gonna be a yearly thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was dope, man. It was the very first like, I guess what would it be considered, like a personal development seminar?
I think it's like a personal development. Yeah, I think that's what it goes under.
But that was my first ever one, bro.
Yeah.
And
so
that was a hell of a first time.
Let's get into that. But first, let's get into you.
My grandparents adopted me when I was very, very young. My mother just wasn't in a position to take care of me and my sister.
Respect that.
She was on some different stuff, which is a conversation for a different time. There's a lot of value in the conversation, but for a different time.
Is that because you don't want to talk about it? Or is that just because...
I mean, we can go into it. We can go into it.
It's your podcast, but this podcast is for Micah to share his story to bring value to one person out there that's listening.
Man, I would say the reason for me wanting to say all this is just for people who don't feel worthy, for people who, on paper, all the facts about them, their life and their past would make it seem as if they could never be successful or valuable.
Like you're set up for failure.
Exactly.
Like David Goggins was talking about today. So that really hit home when you heard Goggins talking about that.
Me and David's stories are pretty similar, bro. So all the way back to the beginning, man. So a lot of people don't know, bro. I'm a product of prostitution.
Okay.
So my mom, my dad, out running the streets, basically getting it by any means. Mm-hmm. Not the most outstanding citizens, but yeah. So I'm a product of prostitution. It was me, my sister Samantha. She is about 3.5 years older than me.
Okay.
My mom, she just wasn't in a position to be able to take care of us. But she, at the same time, she fought for me, for my life. You know, with it being, because she's white, my dad's black. At the time, you know, with it being an interracial relationship, and also like my grandparents knowing what she was doing, you know, they wanted her to abort me. And she said everybody was telling her that she needed to abort me, you know.
Wow.
And she didn't, bro. She fought for my life. And when I was born, you know, she wasn't able to take care of me. When I was born, I had an upper respiratory infection or something like that. I was in the hospital, like in like one of those little
incubators.
Tents. Yeah, I was in there for 2 weeks after I was born, and then after that, my mom had taken me and my sister Samantha to. I'm not sure what the right name for the place is, but it's where the nuns lived.
Oh, like a boarding school, like a Catholic school.
Yeah, kind of.
Like a Catholic school. My grandma used to go to Catholic school.
Yeah, so we were.
She used to hit her with a ruler.
I believe it. I
believe
believe
like way before our time, but
that's some old-fashioned stuff. But nuns are old school. But anyway, so yeah, man, I don't remember this, but you know, me and my sister Samantha, my mother, you know, we lived with the nuns, and like the nuns pretty much, you know, raised me for the first several months of my life.
Yeah, so this is the stories that you were told. You said 7 months, right? You remember 7 months?
I don't remember none of this stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So yeah, and then I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but my grandparents ended up adopting me and my sister because my mom wouldn't let us go into the system because she was in the system and it kind of messed her up, like foster care and stuff like that.
Wow, that's so interesting. Like she was in the system, she knows what it does. It happened, but she knows what it did to her, so she's doing her best to, even though she took another path, she's still trying to keep you guys together, you and your sister together.
Yeah, she hasn't always been a big like physically here like part of my life, but dude, from the time she found out she was pregnant with me, you know, she's fought for my life, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She fought for my life. And
do you feel it's because she gave you the best life she could possibly give you? Is that why you don't have any resentment towards her?
Well, I did at one point until, we had a conversation pretty recently where, you know, she just kind of put all this stuff out there and you know, filled in the gaps that I didn't know about.
Okay.
And
was that closure for you?
It was, absolutely, bro.
Did it feel like a weight is lifted
felt
your
great.
shoulder?
It was a 3-hour phone conversation. It was a 3-hour phone conversation, and it felt great. It made, I feel like it made us closer. You know, it made me understand things a lot more. It sounds crazy, but it made me respect her more. You know, like people say like their mom is their favorite person, and this, you know, all these things about their mom, and I didn't have that because she was really never around, bro, whenever I was growing up.
That's so interesting. Because me and my mom are close, bro. Like me and my mom were like everything I did, like first kiss, first this, first that, first hump, first bump, whatever it is. I told her everything, bro.
Yeah.
Like I only thing I didn't tell her is like when I lost my virginity. I lost it on like my 14th or 15th birthday. Then my 14th birthday.
On a birthday?
In Vegas. She drove me to Vegas. She drove me to Vegas, and literally, you know, her son was about to become a young man. Yeah. So I told her, I remember, I'll never forget this, man. We're sitting in the hospital. I can't remember what it was. I was there for a checkup. I had crazy surgery, bro. I had 12 surgeries on this leg.
Oh, right.
And like literally, we were talking about something. I told her, I was like, yeah, you know, I lost my virginity to Lily in Vegas. She's like, what? And the doctor opens up the door, and the doctor's like, what's going on? I was like, oh, and then she's like, oh, nothing. I just found out that my son lost his virginity and
It's
I drove
funny.
him there. And I was like,
You know what's funny is that you waited till you were in the hospital.
It just
You're
came
like,
up.
this is the perfect time to
I'm
tell
a
because she
horrible
can't whoop my
liar.
ass.
Okay, yeah, no, I have some stories about that. But I'm a bad liar. I'm a very bad liar to the point where I don't even try to lie because I get like this weird grin in like everyone calls it out, bro. Everyone could call it out, so I just gave up on mine. I never got caught. I mean, I always got caught. Everything. First time I ditched, got caught. First time I snuck out, got caught. Like I just don't. Like I don't even attempt to BS anymore.
Yeah.
I get pulled over by a cop for speeding.
Your conscience
He
is
says
too
that you're
strong,
going
like-
70. I was like, officer, I was going 75. Let's be honest. Okay, like I know you got me at 75. Like whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
that's it. So like you saying this like what you're having like that. I feel like that animosity you might have had for a while towards your mom. I think I have towards my dad.
Yeah.
But not towards my mom because me and my mom like are like.
That animosity is a very common thing amongst children and their parents.
Yeah?
Like extremely common.
For
bro.
sure.
Because when you think about it, you know, most people I know personally don't come from like the perfect home. You know, mom and dad is in the home and they love each other unconditionally, and then it's like, you know, we sit down and have dinner together every night and every house. It's not like that in most cases like that I know about.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that conversation really helped a lot. And then, you know, my grandparents raised me from, I guess around 1 to 13. So everything that happened in between the beginning and 13 really conditioned my mind to the point like, just like all of us, bro, I'm still having to break these certain mental cycles. So.
Dang, what do you talk about that a little bit more? What do you mean your mental cycles? Like, I want to dive. Mental cycles as in what? Like you talking about like, do you hold on to some past grudges?
Yeah, dude. There was a lot, bro. There was a lot, and not to make it sound like I had it worse than everybody.
No,
you know what I mean?
don't worry about that.
Telling my
This
story.
is your story. Like,
That's what I'm
this one
saying.
thing people always do on my podcast. Like, oh, I know someone out there
Yeah.
does have it worse. There's someone listening to this story that is, I wish I had that life. But at the end of the
100%.
day, this was the worst thing that was happening in your life, and this is the trauma that you're holding. So yes, there's someone else there has it worse.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay. This is your version of worse.
So
and this is what you're going through.
I'm going to tell what my 1 to 13 the lifespan right there was like, and then it wouldn't be like me to just talk about the negatives. I'm going to talk about the positives that I was able to pull through that. You know what I mean?
These stories built you.
Absolutely. So, like we were talking about, I think last night, like you really don't know whenever you're less fortunate when you're young, you know what I mean? So I was, like I said, my grandparents adopted me and my sister, Samantha. They had a daughter, her name is Jenny. So it was us 3 kids in the house, and we were in like a rural area. So it was literally all white people. And when I say all white people, I'm talking about like white people, and like a large percentage of them were.
So
like,
half of you.
Yeah, and like the large percentage of them were like the type of white people that you don't like. You know what I mean? Like they were very redneck and racist and like simple-minded. You know, like.
So we shared something in common on the last conversation. We're both mixed.
Yeah.
Right? And I told you that sometimes I feel like I was never accepted in either one like community.
Right.
Right? Because like it's either no, you're not Mexican, or no, you're not black.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So how was it growing up black and white? Because I know
Well,
my
to
family
them-
was like, my Mexican side of my family was pretty racist before I was born, and then like my grandparents and my they cut that out real quick. Like, this is my grandson, I love him, I don't care what color. He could be blue, I love him. You know what I mean? So like, how was it like? When did you start noticing it's not okay to be white and black? Like, when was like that experience? Was that
I was pretty young. I was pretty young, yeah. So my grandpa was my first best friend ever.
That's right.
Like when he was.
Mine too.
And that's what I was saying. We had to have, several things in common with our story. And, my grandpa was my first best friend ever. Like when he wasn't at work and he was at home, It's like
He was with you.
I had my head up his ass everywhere he
Yeah,
went, bro.
same.
And he was a mechanic, so he was always in the garage. So I was always in there. Like, he'd be working on cars. I would either watch him.
You were working on cars.
Or I would take, like, a part that he had sitting around and, like, taking it apart and stuff.
That's so funny you say that. Same, bro.
So he was my first best friend, by a long shot, bro. My first best friend. And so to get back to you know, what it was like being, well, first of all, I didn't know that I was mixed, and to that group of people, if you have a drop, it's like you were that. So I was black.
You were not mixed.
To these white people, I was black. There was no in between. It was like, basically, he's not like us.
So you're not one of us.
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
So now there were a lot of good white people around me.
Yeah.
But
we won't say white people. Just say people.
Yeah, okay, people. But it felt like in the moment, it felt like the masses. It would just felt like I was always being looked at and, you know, not accepted. And
where is this taking place at?
This is in Park Hills, Missouri. So it's like an hour south of here.
Okay.
Like it's in southeast Missouri.
Okay.
So, you know, my grandma was my first. It's crazy because my grandpa was my first best friend, and my grandma was my first enemy. And
that's interesting.
It was, yeah. Looking back, it was. You know, at the time, I didn't realize all, you know, the dynamic. But
your grandma is your grandma from your white side or your black side?
They're both on my white side.
Oh, both of them.
Both of them are on my white side. Yeah.
Bro, I feel like there's such a bond with like a grandson and grandpa. Like I don't think he cared what color you were. You could came out blue with red eyes.
The crazy thing is, he, like, that side of the family was known for not liking black people.
And you changed his whole perspective on it. He didn't care.
I was an exception for him.
You were all white to him.
I vividly remember him using racial slurs, like referring to black people, like him and like my you know, his brother, like, which I would call my uncle, and yeah, like I vividly remember that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, like yeah. It was an interesting dynamic. So, but I was an exception. Like he loved me unconditionally, bro. I was his pride and joy. You know what I mean? So it was weird. It was really weird. So
you were an exception. You were like you were not a color to him. You were just Micah.
I was Micah. Yeah, I was Micah. And
okay.
Yeah, so
love's powerful.
It is, man.
Love is a powerful thing, man.
Absolutely.
Love is a powerful thing.
A child will completely change someone.
Oh,
but, you
yeah.
know.
Me, my grandparents and my, you know, stopped talking to some of our family members because they weren't accepting that I was half black. I mean, unfortunate for them, I guess. You know what I mean? I think I did pretty good with my life for being, you know, being
yeah, right.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, though, like it's you know, it's so funny because I didn't realize, and nor did I think this podcast was gonna go towards us being mixed people.
I had no idea.
I forgot that you were mixed. Nor do I don't think we're raised on color.
We don't think about.
We don't think about that.
No.
Like, I don't know. You know, we're similar in age and stuff like that. Like, I don't look at you and say like you're my black friend or you're my mixed friend. I just I didn't even think about that. And even though we talked about it in the car, I didn't think about it then until you just brought it up right now, and I was like, oh wait, and we kind of came up like I would have never brought up that you're mixed or your race or hey, this is Micah, he's mixed.
Right.
Like I feel that sounds so weird.
It does.
Like you're
Micah.
Yeah,
because it doesn't matter.
You're
bro.
Micah. Like you're someone that you're another human being that I interact with. You're someone that I got to experience going to my first Andy show with, like or first form. You know, there's a lot of people for first form that want to talk to me or that DM me, but I responded back to you. Like that's who I would announce you as, not like a color.
Absolutely.
Or a mixed. You know what I mean? I feel that's very cringy for anyone that might even think of doing that. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, you might get canceled.
Yeah.
You might get canceled for that.
Yeah, watch someone take this one clip. We're talking about race and they just make me look so bad.
Right.
They're all like, oh, this is Micah, my colored friend. Yeah, man. So that's so interesting because that's not even our type of generation type of stuff. Like,
nah,
I didn't have a problem
thank
with
God.
it. Yeah.
Thank God, you know.
I think we grew up in a badass time. I think it was like it was a pretty badass time. We got to, you know, do stupid stuff, go outside all the time. Now, like I don't see any kids outside.
No, well, but we do have the opportunity to make things better. You know,
bro, that's what we do for a living. I get to help people for a living. You get to help people for a living. But yeah, getting up to the older age where you started, you know.
Oh, okay.
Figuring out where the grudges are at. You know what I mean? You already dealt with some racism. You already dealt with I was going to say a product. You said a product of prostitution.
Product of prostitution. Yeah.
I've never heard that before until this podcast.
I feel like that's
the best way to explain it.
Yeah,
without getting detailed.
whenever I got that information and I kind of sat on it and thought about it for a little bit. That's just really the best way. People say they are how they are because they're a product of their environment. But I'm not like a baby. I wasn't the mom and dad loves each other and they're gonna have a baby and start a family. It was like no, like when prostitution happens and there are mistakes. Yeah, there are mistakes, and I'm what came from that mistake.
Do you feel it like affects you, like till present day? Are you
not that particularly? No.
No, you don't. So you know victim mentality.
No.
Did you have victim mentality before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I would say I had victim mentality up until, I would say, even into my early 20s a little bit.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. It takes us a while for it to learn. What do you like? What snapped you out of it? The victim mentality. Like, when did you decide to realize that it's up to you to get your shit together?
When I got tired of not having my shit together. Like, not when I was like, oh, this sucks. When I was like beat the fuck down, dog ass tired of being broke.
No one. Broke?
Being broke, being insecure, you know what I mean? Being mad all the fucking time.
Insecure, huh? About what?
Well, that goes back into the childhood stuff. So
okay.
I knew early on, like I'm talking like first, second grade, that I was different than all these other kids, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I would see even their parents would like look at me different. And so that kind of like pushed me away. And then my grandma always would pick up stray animals. She had like a veterinarian background. Always picked up stray animals. In the house, bro, the trailer, we stayed in a single wide trailer. It had like it was like the metal, like the tin siding, you know what I mean? Very old school, small.
Double wide?
No, it was a single wide.
Oh, single wide, sorry.
Yeah, mobile home. So
it's like, I'm not too familiar with stuff like that. So, but I'm thinking mobile home. I'm thinking like the RVs, or is this the ones that are like they stay there?
They stay there. Like,
okay, so they mobile home.
It's literally this wide. As wide as this
okay.
room, right?
I know what you're talking about. So like I believe it's called like mobile home parks. There's one by Disneyland.
Yeah, like it's when
they're nice though. They're nice. They're nice as hell.
When you hear people talk about trailer parks, it's like stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I call them mobile home. That's so then mobile home, but
stuff like that.
I feel like it's a bad rep. I guess.
But this one was not nice. This one was not nice, and like.
Oh, so this was a trailer park.
Not a trailer park, but just a trailer. Like people do that. People will buy a mobile home in the Midwest. People will buy a mobile home and move it to a property that they want to live on, and they'll just put it there.
Okay.
That's some Midwest shit. You don't know nothing about that.
Hey, don't judge you. I'm trying to learn. I think I know. I think we're on the same page. I was just thinking, I'm mobile home park, but it's a mobile home. It's a trailer. So the mobile home.
Yes.
So it's the same thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
Names.
Same thing, bro.
It's like how you guys have that like disgusting like Whataburger or whatever, and we have In-N-Out. Like
I don't mess with that.
What?
I don't mess with Whataburger.
Good. I'm thinking. I like you.
Yeah.
Everyone like I don't. I had it last time and it's not honestly very unimpressed.
Dude,
it's.
I could go on about all
I
stuff.
could go In-N-Out for all day. I can eat In-N-Out every single In-N-Out. I've yet to have a burger better than In-N-Out, and I know I'm gonna trigger so many people out there.
Oh, they're gonna be upset about that.
Yeah, but I got the 600 pounds. I eat some good food.
Right.
Yeah. I got to taste that my fair share of good food. I'll be honest. I love In-N-Out.
Most of us have had our fair share, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, with her bringing the pets and everything, like, dude, I mean, there was times when we would have like 5 dogs in the house and like 6 cats, and dude, I remember we had goat in the house one time. One time we had ducks walking around. The goats, my grandma would, cause
goats like poop like little pebbles.
Yeah, dude, she would put diapers on them, like a diaper, and then like cut a hole where their tail is.
So what'd you guys do with these animals?
She just had like a bigger heart for animals than human beings, and
wow.
And dude, it was filthy, bro. So like we smelled bad. So not only at this young age that I realized that I was different, the color of my skin was different, and I was treated a little bit different by some people, but like I was also the kid that smelled bad.
Damn.
You know what I mean? So then that kind of like it sucked. It sucked even more,
Yeah.
And then on top of that. I would say starting in 3rd grade, something happened with me mentally where I just basically, dude, I just stopped giving a fuck.
Were you bullied? You could be honest.
Kind of, but at the same time, I was a bully at times too. Like, dude,
of course you were.
I was fighting in school. I was angry.
You had
bro.
everything to prove.
I was angry.
That's me. I had so much to prove. I had so much to prove, and I had a blessed life, bro. I have a blessed life. My family, everything. Yes, I was overweight, but people make fun of me, so I always had something to prove.
Yeah.
Right, and I've actually, it's crazy. Being overweight, being bullied, not having a lot equals always having to prove something. I feel like insecurities make you
It's human nature,
it's human
bro.
nature, right? So like, I felt like even now I'm still getting over the old version of Anthony Lopez of trying to always have something to prove, right? And I don't think I think it's never gonna go away with the business aspect. Like I'm always going to be. I'm happy with myself. I'm proud of myself. What am I gonna do next to evolve myself, right?
Yeah.
But I finally got over the whole trying to just be like the guy. Like, does that make sense? Like, because I lived that
100%.
life the whole time. Like, I go to a house party, I had to have, be with the coolest people, the DJ, have like, the hang out the popular people, have the biggest truck, be the loudest, be ready to fight the first. Like, you know what I mean? Like, now I just live a life of like, I don't like have to prove nothing to anybody.
No, that's
Like,
that's just insecure boy stuff. You know what I mean?
It's
Most people grow out of it, but some people don't grow out of it.
I just started to get it out of my system like maybe a year or two ago when it quit. A lot of it I know comes from being overweight because I feel like I'm always stared at, and so I felt like I always have to be like the mean guy, the tough guy, right? Like I still love myself, I was still a funny person, but like I was always like, oh, I don't mess with AJ, but like I'm not even that type of person. Like
Right.
I'm not even a fighter unless I'm like really defending myself or my family. Like I'm about it, but like I don't have nothing to prove anymore. Like,
Yeah.
and I think once I let go of trying to have something to prove. I talked about before, I have a race car. I have a Camaro, a race car sitting in my garage, and I built this thing from the ground up. When I say ground up, I'm talking about it's a brand new Camaro, but took everything out that made it expensive and put new stuff in it, made it fast, all that stuff. So when I say from the ground up, people get pissed off like, oh, I remember that Camaro.
he's not.
I'm not a car guy because guess what? Once I lost my grandpa, I haven't even touched that car. And that car was like a Band-Aid. Right, that Camaro was a Band-Aid because if I really cared about it, I was still driving out. I would have brought it with me to Vegas. No, it's still sitting in my Orange County house garage, right? But it was a Band-Aid. Like I had something to prove. I had to be the big guy in the Camaro because if I had the Camaro, people wouldn't realize that I was overweight, right? If I won first place trophies, people wouldn't realize that I was 500 pounds.
They wouldn't be focused.
They wouldn't be focused on that, right? Like something to prove. And once I got rid of that crutch and I started working on myself,
look, I'm still cool. Like I'm still
exactly. Oh, hey, I'm big, but I'm still cool. Like, come hang out. Like accept me, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and you don't like that's not in the front of your mind. It's in your subconscious.
No, it's when I worked on myself. It's when I started getting my life together. When I started realizing what's really important, and that's my health and me being here for my family. And now my new why is obviously helping people. We know why's changed, but my original why was helping myself first. I don't even touch a Camaro. And it's not that I don't like the Camaro. That's why I haven't sold the Camaro. I can't, now that I'm in a financial position where I can take the truck, pull the Camaro on the trailer, go race the Camaro and have money to do that and bring it back home. So that's why I'm not selling Camaros. Why not have a race car? It's already built. Go the track, let, whatever happens to it, fix it, and then drive it, whatever happens, whatever I mean. So I love the Camaro, but it's not my pride and joy because that was just a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even a car guy. I was so mad when I had to work on that car, but it was a cool thing to do. I was a YouTuber. I was working on a car. Not saying I don't love it, but it was an expensive ass Band-Aid.
You've outgrown it.
Yeah. I still love fast cars though. I would tell you.
Right.
But
we all do, yeah.
that's it. So it's so funny that you have not brought up your weight not one time. That has not been any of your insecurity, but you're still facing and you've still faced and you still dealt with a lot of the insecurities and frustration as maybe someone overweight would. Like, we share the same stories, except mine was my weight problem.
Yeah.
And yours is your upbringing from being mixed race and your family drama.
Yeah.
I had no family drama, and I didn't care that I was mixed. But I had the insecurity and the something to prove of being overweight,
Yeah.
So it's like, imagine if we had this conversation in high school. Like, imagine that like you were the skinny person and you also had your insecurity because the way you were born at home and how unsteady your household is. And then I talked to you about it sucks being overweight and my insecurities. We would maybe you were a bully, I was a bully. We wouldn't have got along in high school, but if we would have just talked about it, we would have had a lot more in common.
Oh yeah, communication is
It
can do unbelievable things amongst people. So, dude, it just got really the home was really filthy. My grandpa was an alcoholic. He was never. I don't ever recall him being just full blown like abusive. He was old school, you know what I mean? So there would be times, like I said, around third grade, I was acting up. I was not doing work in class, not doing homework. I was a class clown and always mad. It was weird. It was weird that I could be the class clown but be triggered that fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Short temper.
yeah, very short. Oh yeah, very short temper as a child. So yeah, dude, my grandpa, like I said, he was my absolute best friend. He taught me tough love. You know what I mean? And it's still instilled inside of me. You know, he would say things back then that still stay on my mind today, and I'll still say them to people. Like if I did something dumb, you know, he'd be like, damn it, act like you got some sense. And I'll say that to people. All the time. Act like you got some sense, man.
When we talk, I'm like, bro, you got like these dad. Like I'm over here doing something like put your seatbelt on. What'd you tell me the other day? You told me something like, all right, dad.
I don't remember what it was, but
you have like the old-fashioned saying.
I'm like my soul is old school because I think it's because of that. And so yeah, dude, he ended up getting. We ended up finding out he had lung cancer.
Oh damn! Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, he found out he had lung cancer. He went and got an X-ray on his back or some crazy stuff like that, and they had found cancer. It was like stage 3 or something like that.
Oh.
And so he had it for a long time. And he was really old school, so dude, he may have known that he was sick with something, but just didn't.
Just fought.
That's being hard-headed.
So, you brought up something, and I remember a story my grandma Gloria told me that they found out her dad had cancer, and it was already high up there. Like he had cancer for months and months and months. Because when they opened him up, he was all the cancer was like you could see. I guess cancer shows like black spots or whatever inside the body. But you mentioned that your grandpa drank a lot, and my grandma mentioned that her dad drank a lot. So I'm wondering if they knew they had cancer, because cancer is a very painful thing. Yeah, cancer is very, very painful.
Yeah, it's not something you just brush off.
So I wonder if he drank a lot because of the pain he was feeling from cancer. Because my grandma thinks that her dad drank so much because of the pain from his cancer. Because he drank to the day he passed away.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, he had back problems too. So like, not only was he did he at some point in his life become a functioning alcoholic, but then he had back problems. I remember him having a back surgery when I was a kid, and then the pain from that, he would he would knock down a case of beer sitting in the garage after work working on cars.
Yeah, back problems and a mechanic.
Yeah.
Grandpa was a savage.
Yeah, dude, I vividly can remember him picking, will grab a full car motor, not disassembled, a full-blown car motor and pick it up and carry it across the garage. I'm serious, by himself. Yeah, he was my
built different.
Bro, he was my
They don't
hero.
make them like that anymore.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
We were walking outside today. It was like freaking 50 degrees, and I'm dying over here. I'm like, oh, get me out of here, bro. Remember, I was like, I could never be a SEAL. I'll touch the water and say, nope.
Yep.
But they're built different, man. Their grandparents are, man.
Different breed, bro.
Different breed, bro.
And it actually helped me because, and another reason why I would fight so much in school, because I always felt like the kids were just weak, and I was mad for whatever reason all the time. So, and I knew that I was tougher than them. You know what I mean? So it was easy for me to take my anger out. It's messed up, but that's just how it was. How it was in my head as a kid.
Well, it doesn't sound like you're the aggressor. It sounds like you were just getting picked on because you smelled or because you didn't have what they had, or you're mixed or whatever they decided to make. Yeah. Kids are mean.
Yeah.
Bro. Dude. Oh my gosh, bro.
The second you give me a chance, they would give me a chance to let some anger out, it didn't take much.
It's on yeah,
it didn't take much. Some days it was like just a little comment, and it's like I'm on your ass, boy.
Yeah.
So
same thing. So when you're overweight, bro, you have to be on it. Yeah. Like that's why I'll talk so much smack nowadays. Like when you're overweight, you have to. Not only do you have to be funny, you have to be ready for that one cool guy to come in and slap your titties and call you fat, and you have to have a comeback for him. You got to go straight where it hurts, right? If he has a gap tooth, you got to call. You got to level the playing field. You got to level it out, right? Because I got my weight. My weight's not on my side. When you're trash talking, you're being overweight is never a good thing. That's the first thing they go for. Yeah. So when I see someone there, I already can tell what kind of person they are. I know this guy's a jerk. I would already size him up, bro. I'll find out. I'll look at his eyebrows, see one uneven. I'll see his gap teeth, there's yellow in his teeth. I'll see his shoes if they're any good shoes. I was sizing the guy up. Ammo. I was looking for ammo because I knew exactly what they're gonna call me. They're gonna call me fat. They're gonna make fun of me in front of these girls, and they're gonna smack me in my titties. I had man boobs, right?
That's terrible, bro.
I did just what they did, bro. Even recently, I thought these days were over, and I'm not gonna bring it up where it was because the person's gonna probably watch my podcast. But he was chilling with his girl, and he randomly hit me in my tit, and it's after my weight loss. And I was like, it got me so mad. It triggered me, bro.
And as an adult?
I wanted to lay him out. And it was in a very fancy setting. So he was hanging with his new girl that they're dating or whatever. And I think the guys are dumb. Let me just go out there. Guys are going to hear this right now. They're going to be so pissed. Guys are dumb. When girls are around, us guys do stupid things.
Not every guy.
You've done it. You've done it. Guys do dumb things around girls.
As a teenager?
And
Not a grown man.
We all
No,
say dumb
bro.
things around girls. You get nervous. You say the dumbest thing. Okay, you can admit it or not, but guys are dumb around girls. All right, I've seen some dumb stuff. I said
Okay.
some dumb stuff.
Okay.
Maybe you're perfect. Maybe it's because you're mixed.
I'm not saying it's probably
Maybe
'cause
you might be mixed.
that
Got the
might be
special
what
blood.
it is. That might be.
But
what it
you know
is.
what I mean. But yeah, so I didn't hold it against it, but it kind of pissed me off. I'm like, bro, like we are grown men. Like, why did you introduce me to this new chick you're dating? Then you do that weird stuff. Like, got me mad. Like PTSD. Like I still want to punch him.
That's what I'm saying. I want to punch him for you, bro.
Let's go.
You gotta, you gotta humiliate. At that point, I'm going savage. Like if I can't put my hands on, I'm gonna humiliate.
Yeah,
him.
it brought back like old Anthony Lopez, where I'm like, I thought that guy was gone.
Yeah.
But he never goes away. The
Oh,
old
they
Anthony
never,
Lopez never goes
never,
away.
yeah,
He
no.
built this new Anthony Lopez. The old Anthony Lopez was fun, but this new one is obviously has a better and healthier lifestyle, generally a happy lifestyle, right? So, but that's funny that so many similarities, bro.
Yeah,
so
man,
many similarities.
Absolutely.
And then
So we found out he had cancer, and that was weird, dude. I mean, he lived for another year and a half, and dude, it was weird. It's just I was so young that I didn't fully grasp the concept, but I knew. It's like I knew what was going on, but I didn't understand. I
completely get that.
But I didn't understand. You know what I mean?
My Uncle Dave passed away when I was young. My Uncle Dave passed away, I believe, at 34 years old. He was another best friend. WrestleMania, RC event. My Auntie Des is a husband, man. I love that guy. Raider fan. Like, call him Raider Dave. I always wish, like, even like talking to you, I'm like, I wish you would have met Uncle Dave. Like, you would see where I got this crazy interactive, like, personality from, right? But yeah, I lost him to cancer too. That really sucked. But I didn't know what it was.
Right.
I knew what it was, but I didn't know like the real meaning of like death. Even
bro,
at that
you're
time.
too young to grasp.
I was pretty young. I was
of it.
old enough to know, but I didn't know everything. I didn't know the whole behind the scenes of cancer until my grandpa, and that is when I had that is the day I became an adult. And I still don't even talk about that. But losing my grandpa to cancer,
extremely traumatizing,
and everything that I went through and everything that I seen, great conversation, great memories, great new memories, right? Very horrible old memories that I don't like to speak about. But I feel like that is the day that Anthony Lopez was reborn. At my lowest part of my life, that did it to me. Like that is when I realized that we do not have a long time here on life. And I have people who love me and who I want to be here for. And there's people that didn't get opportunity today to wake up.
Yeah.
And I have opportunity.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's when my life changed. When I was like, holy crap, like, I got to get it together. And we talked about that earlier. My biggest regret in my life is not doing it sooner, losing weight sooner. But, you're like, we can't do anything about it. But it's just, they say don't have a regret, but I do, unfortunately. But, you know what I mean?
Everybody's going to have, bro. Like, people say don't have, bro, it's going to happen.
You said something. You're like, who says you can have regrets?
That's what I say. Who the fuck says you can't?
Everyone has regrets.
Yeah, you're going to, man. You're going to. I don't believe that anyone out there wouldn't ever have any regrets throughout the span of their lifetime.
No, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah. And they actually help you. They kind of help you, like, okay, don't do this. It's like a don't do this in the back of my mind. When you do have them. Getting
into that, like, me going through what I went through, I had to go through that in order to, I feel, become the best version of myself. And some people are like, no, you should have went to 600 pounds. That's excessive, but that was my life. That was what I thought was right. That's what I was, my normal, right? But going through everything I went through, it made me a lot tougher. You know what I mean? It made me a lot tougher to take on the position where I take on now, because now I'm going to school to become a certified life coach, and all that stuff. So
yeah,
I get to help people at their lowest times, because let's be honest, people contact me at their lowest times. They've tried with their weight loss to crash diets. You work at First Form.
Yeah,
you hear these stories too. So
they're sold false hope.
Yeah, exactly. So when I heard that quote today, the quote that I said earlier in the beginning of this podcast, that made me know that. Let me know I was doing the right thing. Like, this was made for me. I was made for this. I was made for people. Made in my loose skin. I was made to post my story on social media. Every single trial and tribulation I went through, it was actually God just toughening me up for my bigger purpose in life.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why I'm doing what I'm. That's why I'm building the business I'm building, because of my.
Which
my
leads
upbringing.
into that.
Yeah.
Because of your childhood, what kind of business are you starting right now?
Well,
Actually, wait, hold on.
I want to give a couple more details.
Yeah. My bad. I cut out your whole story. This is you know what I mean. I completely cut. What did you go through in order for you to figure out your why? What put you in your rock bottom? Now you know that. Now you know your why.
Dude, just a lot of stuff. But it really goes back to childhood, you know. So my grandpa lived for a year and a half with lung cancer. Mm-hmm. He passes away. Me and my grandma, like growing up, I remember good times. I remember more, like, just more friction between us, you know, just like.
These guys didn't vibe with each other.
Yeah, do
you think your grandma was more racist than your grandpa?
I don't think he was race. I just think she was a broken person, and just being old school just was never able to repair, you know.
Hurt people.
Yeah, and like okay. You know, looking back, you know, we had a lot of family members, and none of her family was around, and we had family members that didn't ever like her, so it wasn't just a me thing, you know, like whatever she did, she was just the black sheep. She was the odd one out, and it was, you know, because of the way that she treated people. Okay. And so, you know, my grandpa passed away, and dude, it's crazy. I mean, I literally was physically sick. Like I was sick, like throwing up, passing out, like for days, bro. Diarrhea, like it's a TMI, but like it's true, bro. I was messed up bad, dude. And
that's real. That is what he's talking about. I today realize that I am holding myself back and my brand back by not diving deep into that relatable story of everything that happened when my grandpa was sick. So I made a vow to myself and my followers and the people that are listening to my podcast and support the brand, to make a podcast by myself, to just let everything out, because I know it's going to be relatable. Oh, it's hard.
It's uncomfortable for me.
It's going to be a full crying podcast. It's going to take a lot of takes. I'm going to let it play out, but it's just one of those things where, like, I know sharing that story and everything and the emotion behind it will open up the door for me talking about more stuff about my overweight lifestyle. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of, I still have that ego up right now, even though I'm very open, right? And is it safe to say that for people who don't know who I am personally, that am I the same person on social media that I am in real life?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's like, but imagine people still relate with me now. Imagine when I let my guard down even more, like when I choose to fight my demons and talk about that story.
Now is the time to do it. Now is definitely the time to do it.
And today was a big thing, and you were a big eye opener too. And hearing you share this is also a big eye opener too. So I really appreciate you for that, because I know what you're talking about is not easy. Nor do I even know if you've even brought this up before.
I typically don't. I don't even remember last time I really laughed. Some of these things I never said to people.
But what you're bringing up right now is creating the why to your brand.
100%. Yeah. So. Yeah, man, I was messed up. I was sick, and it really, really, really sucked when family was around. Once he died, and we're getting the funeral arrangement straightened out, and then we had the funeral. The absolute worst part of it all was when the funeral was over. People came over. We had like food and everything with the family, and everybody left, and I was just sitting there. And my grandma was inside, my sisters were inside, and I was sitting on this picnic table. I remember this brown picnic table. It had like a wooden bench on each side, and the table was like a kind of like a rubber covering on the metal. It was brown. I remember this, and I was just sitting there and just like, you know, looking at the window in the trailer, and I'm like, it was just unbelievable to think, you know, that I was gonna walk in there and he was never gonna be there again.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, damn, that gave me goosebumps, because my grandpa has a sofa, and like every single time I come home, my grandpa was on that sofa. Every single time he'd take his like 2:00 nap, or it's his 2:00 nap before he goes to work, and like so like I remember the first. It was just weird because he was on the sofa the last couple of weeks because he was in the hospital, the hospice bed. I was basically his hospice nurse, but I didn't pay attention to what that sofa meant because I was so focused on taking care of him his last couple of days, hours, whatever it might be. But I remember the next day I woke up after my grandpa, everyone had left. My grandpa already passed away. And I went downstairs and I sat down and I looked at the sofa and I just stared at that sofa for, honestly, probably like 2 hours. I probably just stared at that sofa for 2 hours, and I had the same feeling you had. Like, I'm never going to see him in that sofa again. ever. And I remember him. There's pictures of like it's a different sofa, but this sofa had been in the same spot. Like he would evolve, right? He would get new sofas, more comfortable sofas, but he would use the hell out of that sofa, right?
Yeah.
Get himself a new one. Super humble guy, and I just realized that like I'm never going to be able to see him in that sofa again. I never really realized how meaningful that couch what I would always sit in the sofa he would always be in, and we'd watch TV together until he was gone, and then it all kind of hit. And like I remember just looking, I couldn't even cry. Honestly, at that point of everything going on, I had no more tears, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely feel like I could say I had no more tears, but I just looked at that sofa for like bro, and I just remembered like Christmases, New Year's, Thanksgivings. He was always in the sofa. And yeah, it hit me like, damn, like I'm never gonna see my best friend in that sofa again.
Yep. And it was like, and it felt like I said, in my mind so my grandma, she would be, there was times when she was, verbally abusive, and then she would like walk that line of being physically abusive as well.
Oh no.
And I'm just like, I mean, dude, it's fucking, it's fair game now. Like she's the only parent. Like,
yeah, you're stuck with that no matter what. Like that's your lifeline.
Just lost my best friend, dude. So, yeah, man, time, a few months, go by, and, home life is chaotic, bro, because everybody's trumped, everybody's damaged, everybody's hurt. Yeah. Everybody's hurting, she stepped back, like it was like a kind of fend for yourself thing.
He was like the glue of the family.
100%. Yeah. And it was like one of my sisters ended up, meeting a couple boyfriends online, and they would like come and stay, and it was just really weird because I know my grandpa never would have went for that. And there was times my grandma took a step back, dude, because she was hurt. She was already messed up, and then she lost her husband.
Yeah, that was her glue for sure.
Yeah, dude. I remember a couple months after my grandpa died, a guy we used to call Uncle Mike, which is one of my grandpa's best friends. He died in his sleep, bro. Like,
dang.
Yeah, my grandma got a call at like 1:30 in the morning. Was like, hey, Mike is, we had to call an ambulance to go in the hospital. We're on the way to the hospital. They called. They said he died. His blood sugar just bottomed out in his sleep. He was diabetic. Just died a couple months after that, and he was like the only other I would say like the other part of your the last part of your grandpa, because that was just right now that was gone too. Yeah, he was gonna step in and like be like the father figure. You know what I mean? And like he ended up dying. And then, everybody's just hurt, dude. And at this time I was 11, and I don't tell people this. I've told maybe 2 people this in my life, but I was, dude, just so messed up, not only from, losing my grandpa and then, Uncle Mike, but then also my grandma she did not do a good job at that time of making me specifically. She was really hard on me compared to my sisters, but feel loved and
nurtured. No nurturing.
Dude, it just wasn't there. And like, dude, I tried to kill myself. Wow. So I was grounded a lot, because I was always in trouble. And I guess that's a lot of parents think that grounding their kids is the best way to discipline them, but it's a whole other conversation. But dude, one day I was grounded, I remember, and I was just sitting on my floor in my room, and I was just feeling all these emotions, bro. I was 11. I'd already been angry before my grandpa died. All this stuff happened.
Now you're more mad.
Yeah, and I didn't know how to handle it, and I was like, I don't want to be here anymore.
Felt that before.
And so I'm like, I didn't know exactly how I was gonna do it, but the thing about me is I've always been able to find a problem and find a solution real quick.
Yeah.
So my grandpa and grandma always drank canned sodas, and I had an empty canned soda in my room, and because I was grounded and I couldn't go out to the kitchen and like grab a knife or like anything like that. Yeah. And at the time I didn't really know about drugs and shit. There were no drugs in my house anyway. So it's not like I was gonna pop a bunch of, you know what I mean? So anyway,
you're 11 too.
I was really 11. Yeah, it's crazy that 11-year-old was even thinking about this.
That's the crazy thing about, like, honestly, like, yeah, like my suicidal thoughts were, I was like 27 years old. You know what I mean? And I just had another rock bottom. But like to think like how damaged you were at such a young age.
I was hurt bad, dude.
Yeah, like you
I
were,
was
yeah,
hurt.
man.
And this isn't like I want attention. Like I literally. So what happened, dude?
It's so funny because everyone brings that up when they do talk about their version of their suicidal thoughts or whatever. It's like it's not for attention. I say the same thing too. Like I feel like you have to let everyone know it's not. This is not just a story. Like this podcast and this is what we talk about is some real stuff. Like I was thinking you're gonna tell me about your upbringing and how it was kind of bad, and now you got your life together. And now you work at First Form, and now you're doing what you're doing. I thought that's where this podcast is gonna go. We don't plan this podcast. Now we're into like whole nother. But this stuff.
I told you. I don't
is
talk
real
about
life.
it.
Someone is listening to this podcast right now, and you are walking their shoes.
I hope so. I hope
you are in their shoes. You said things that only you two have in common right now, because you just said you never told that to anybody.
I've told.
Right?
There's 2 to 3 people in my entire life since this happened that know about this.
And we average between 400 and 600 views per podcast through all platforms, right? 400 to 600.
It's crazy to think. Yeah,
there's someone out there that this story is for,
There's at
and
least
they've
one.
done the walk, and maybe they didn't make the right decisions that you've made, right? Maybe they feel like they're still too late to make those decisions.
Oh, I'm gonna get there.
You're now sharing where you're at and what you're doing. So you know what I'm saying? Like
I'm gonna get there.
That's why I love this. I love doing a podcast, bro. Like I feel like I am, and I will look at this camera, right, where I'm really gonna be looking at myself while I'm editing this and say, I am such an idiot for letting my self-doubt stop me from 2 years ago starting my podcast. I'm going to do it now, and this is going to be a top 10 fucking podcast in the world. This is going to be a top 10 podcast. But imagine if I did this 2 years ago when I said I was going to do it, right? Because the stories like this need to be heard. People feel that they're so by themselves. People feel that they are the only person on that plane. They're the only person on that freaking walk.
Yeah.
They're the only person in that lane. Now,
it's easy to think that when people don't.
It's easy. It's easy to think
Especially
that,
now,
right?
everybody's got their face in a phone or a computer.
Everyone
Like we don't communicate.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like yesterday, we went to go to dinner with Nick and I forgot his name. Who's his name? When I worked out yesterday, Ryan. And like it was so hard. We all put our phones away, and I was like, damn, like it feels so good not to have my phone. But I was so urged to have my phone in my hand, right? And I can use the excuse that I do social media for a living, but no. Enjoy. And Melissa said today, David Goggins said today, he's all, I've learned to master to be here in the fucking moment, and that's something that I'm like, damn. We're never here. Like even like I'm not looking at my phone because I'm texting. I'm looking at my phone to make sure the camera don't shut off. We only got 29 minutes. We got to turn it back off and on. But you know what I mean? But it's one of those things like to live in that moment and like, you know, our heads are always so down, right? We feel like we're so by ourselves, or we're looking at other people on social media, comparing our life to theirs, thinking that they have it so much better and that everything's perfect because they have the Louis Vuitton freaking bag or the glasses or whatever it is. But we're not knowing what their credit score looks like.
Right.
They're not posting up that their debt collector's calling them. But like we think that everyone's life is so much better than ours, but it's just like this facade that people are posting. They're only posting their wins. You know what I mean?
You don't even know their story.
They don't even know their story. I feel
100%.
like that's you're a really relatable person on social media. I think it's not patting myself on the back, but I've been told by a lot of people I am too, because you don't only post your wins, you post your fails.
Yeah.
I post my fails, my wins, my insecurities, and all that stuff is just as much as you do, right? I think you're pretty funny too on the stories. To show people that there are other people going through stuff. Yeah,
one of my biggest things is I just want to be relatable and like make people feel like they can reach out to me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And you do a hell of a job.
Like whatever. You know,
you do because me and you clicked it off really well. You made me feel really comfortable. Look, we have so much to talk about. Would you be okay with us making 2 podcasts?
Oh, absolutely.
Could we do?
I feel
we'll
like
drop one this week, and then we'll drop the second part next week, because I feel like this has already had so many different gems and so much about you, where they're probably we're leaving it on a cliffhanger right now. Like they are probably want to know where Micah is now, even though they're looking at you, because you don't look the part of how you should. Like, you know what I mean? You know, because technically on paper you should have failed. Yeah. Right. You should have failed. You should have not been in this position you are right now. So what I want you to do is that I'll go and put your Instagram and everything in the bottom, and I'll let you talk about your Instagram in the second part. But I want you to I want you to end this chapter. I want you to end this podcast with something that you feel is going to be impactful for the people out there listening.
I feel like I don't feel like I know that there were a lot of impactful things that have been said all those those visions that you have, those daydreams that you consistently have, like those things you think about, like it'd be really cool if I could do this, and it's just always on your mind, like that's there for a reason. Those thoughts are there for a reason. You have those visions for a reason. You're around a group of people and you feel like you don't fit in, and the life you want is so much different than the life that they want or that they want for you. Like that is for a reason, man. And I just encourage everyone to pay attention to the signs that the universe sends. Pay attention to those signs.
Listen to your gut.
Yeah, but those people you bump into, have those random conversations with, those people that you're standing by in public and you just drawn to them and you want to say something but you're kind of nervous. No, say something, because you never know what's going to come from that conversation. Like you never know who you're around. You never know who you're talking to. You never know what this idea can turn into physically,
facts.
like in the world. So
just like how we held the door open for those older ladies.
Yeah.
And they look so happy.
Yeah.
For all we know, just throwing it out there, for all we know, that those two ladies could have been the most racist people ever.
They could have.
They could have, and we could have just completely changed their whole outlook, how they look on our people.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know. Right? Mary probably she looks so sweet, she probably not. But I'm just saying though, this the act of kindness, the gut feeling that we had to be generous, which that's how we're raised, it could change someone's life. Or if not, maybe Mary wasn't racist. Hopefully she wasn't. But maybe she was having a rough day. Maybe her mom is on her last couple weeks.
Maybe all they've been talking about is her mom dying.
Or maybe Mary doesn't have that much money this week. We don't know what it could have been, but at the end of the day, we felt it was the right thing to do, and I would do it again.
And the thing is, we acted
instantly
on it like,
knew what
boom.
we're gonna do,
and that's like
instantly.
That's trained over time. That's what I'm talking about. Like when you want to have those conversations, when you want to raise your hand, when you want to do something, when you want to say something, like just act on it, dude.
Act on it.
Just act on it.
That's gonna be the end of this one. Act on it.
Yeah.
All right. Now you've heard some of the story. I can't wait for the episode number 2. I'll put your Instagram on the bottom of this one. Then your next one will drop next week. I would say thank you for being on here, but we're not done. We still got to keep going. We got more. Another podcast.
We got a lot of stuff. Yeah.
But man, once again, I'm gonna say thank you for being on this episode, and then we'll put you on the next one, man. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Finish up the story, man. Finish up the Micah trilogy.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
All right, man.
It's happened for myself and my family. There's no way that this is real, man. It can't.